Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. Well, today I'm going to talk about my all-time favorite attachment for a tractor, and that is a set of pallet forks, like these. And if you don't have a set of pallet forks for your tractor, you're missing the boat, because there's so much you can do with a set of pallet forks. Also, today I'm going to talk a little bit about Bale spikes and Bale forks and what the difference is. And I'm going to show you a product here that does both, and one other thing, new product built locally. Well, let's start talking about pallet forks. If you've got quick attach on your tractor, get pallet forks. And if you don't have quick attach, get that first. And we supply that on my website. I'll put a link right up here. But if you don't have pallet forks, get them. And here's what to look for when buying pallet forks. First off, look for the length of the fork. If you've got a very small tractor, maybe a subcompact, 36-inch forks are probably adequate. For the bigger tractors, 42 and 48-inch forks are commonly what you see. And some people offer like a 60-inch fork, and I don't recommend that for a tractor, maybe on a skid loader for specialty applications. But I've always owned 42-inch forks. I'd be happy with 48-inch forks. When I worked in the dealership world, we probably sold about an equal amount of either. The advantage of 42-inch forks is most of the time on a standard pallet, they'll only go under one pallet. So if you're in a row of pallets and you're trying to pick up just one, you could just drive all the way in, pick it up, and move it. Also, in tight areas, if you're out in the woods or around your house or your outbuildings and you're turning, forks stick out. And a lot of folks that are new to tractors don't really realize how far that hood sticks out, and then that front end loader, and then the forks after that. So you can get in trouble and turn tight and hit a tree or a building and do a lot of damage with longer forks. So that's an advantage of 42-inch forks. And the difference between 42 and 48 is only 6 inches, but it'll make a big difference in maneuverability. But one of the advantages of 48-inch forks is a lot of the newer pallets seem to be longer. I'm running into a lot of pallets that we have to unload that are longer, or they have something on them like a loader bucket or something that sticks out. And in order to get under them and not have to chain them on to the fork frame, you need a longer fork. And the other thing is, if you're picking up a pallet and trying to move it in to like a longer pickup bed to get it closer to the cab, a lot of times you can put it in with a set of 48-inch forks and then lift it up on the end and gradually just scoot it over and get it all the way in, and you'll have to unload it the same way. And if you've got 42-inch forks, that won't work. Going further back on the frame, now I recommend a good headache rack, is what they call the shield in the back here. A good solid headache rack to protect the hood of the tractor. Having said that, the more apparatus you've got there, the less your visibility is going to be. And I like a set of forks that's kind of open in the middle like these are. There's a big open area here, because when you start using forks, until you kind of get a feel for it, you don't know when they're level, and you can't really see them if there's a big welded plate right here. So I always look to see how much visibility am I going to have with my pallet forks. And I like this open design right here, but I do like a heavy headache rack on them, so if something rolls back, it's not going to hit the hood of my tractor. And some of the cheaper forks don't have much there. Now, having said that, every pound that's in the pallet forks means 1 pound less you can pick up. So if you've got a smaller tractor, you may need to go with something that doesn't have much up here, just so you're not taking up all the lift capacity with the weight of the forks. Now, some forks have a rolled spot on the top of the headache rack, and that's good for strength. But the bad thing about that, I like to have a flat spot on top of my forks, because I know when that's level, the forks are level as well. Makes it easier to get in and out of pallets. One last thing that I look for is right back here, where the pallet forks go into the quick attach. And you may not know this, but the standard for the industry is a 23-degree forward rake. In other words, the forks go in, they're tilted 23 degrees forward when you pick up the fork and lock it in. And that's important on some tractors. On some of the older tractors, if you don't have that forward rake, and if you go look at any skid loader bucket or any, I'd say almost all tractor buckets, on the back of them, they're not straight up and down like this, they're angled forward. And if your forks aren't, and there's some folks making forks that are straight up and down, and they're cheaper to make, and a lot of them are made in China, If you don't have the tilt back angle on your front end loader, you may have this situation, and we don't like that. And you could blame the quick attach kit that you put on it, or you can blame the tractor, but it's the fault of the pallet forks. They need to have in the back this forward rake of 23 degrees in order to function on modern equipment. And again, it's not an issue on a tractor that's got a lot of tilt and rollback, but some of the older tractors don't have much rollback available, and you can get in trouble with those. Now today I'm going to talk about Bale forks and Bale spikes. And what's the difference? Well, a Bale fork has two spikes down low. A Bale spike has one up high and then two little stabilizers down low to keep the bale from rotating. That's the difference. Now I'm not sure that's a common industry way of referring to it, but that's the way I always have. So two is Bale fork, one is Bale spike. Now a lot of folks will try to keep their costs down and not get pallet forks by getting a Bale fork and using that as pallet forks. And I strongly recommend you don't do that, because especially if you're buying cheap and you get a Chinese built Bale fork, works great for a Bale fork because you're not picking up a lot of weight with a hay bale. But if you try to use it for a pallet fork and you're lifting up a little bit more than you should, you'll bend the spike. And when you replace the spike, you'll have as much money in that thing as you would have had if you'd have got a good set to begin with. Now if you're looking at Bale forks or a Bale spike, look at where the spikes are made. The ones that are made in Europe are generally really good. Look at the weight rating of them. The ones that are made in China, they might not look that different, but tensile strength and all that, the quality of the metal is different. I like a set like this Bale spike right here that I'm going to show you that has a German built spike. They're just better. They cost a little bit more, but they're worth it. You won't have to replace them. If you ever have to replace the Chinese built spikes, you're going to end up, like I said, with more money in it than you would have had if you'd have got a good one to begin with. So get the good spikes. Now, this product is called a Spork, and it's both pallet forks and a Bale spike. And you go from one to the other, and then also has a receiver hitch in the middle. So it's a 3-in-1 frame. So if you're trying to keep all your stuff inside and you don't have a lot of storage area, you're only storing one frame, and then you could put the forks out of the way. Now this actually works pretty good for me, because I use my Bale spikes in the winter to move hay bales around, and I don't use pallet forks much in the winter because I'm not out working with my tractor. But when spring comes and I'm done feeding the hay, I can take that spike off, put the forks on, and go right to work. Now I'm going to show you how to change from one to the other real quick. And it's going to be a little bit difficult because I haven't lubricated this part right here, and it still has paint on it. Until you get the paint wore off of this rail right here and it puts some lubricant on it, it's going to be really hard to move your pallet forks inside and out. And that will be the case today because I've not done anything to these. But in order to remove the forks, here's how you do it. You lift up right here, and I twist that so that's released, and you just slide it over to the middle, and you'll notice there's a little gap right down here, and when you get it to the middle, and that came down and locked, you just pick up the fork, and these are heavy, better to do this with gloves, and you can take them off. And we'll do the other side. And I'll try to keep this locked here. I'm showing you in real time how this works. And like I said, when the paint gets wore off there, this job is going to be a lot easier. Now in order to convert to a Bale spike, here's the German built Bale spike I was referring to. You just slide it right in there, and you've got a, let's see, what size is it? I think it's 3/4 bolt that goes through, so just line up the hole. Well, where is it? There it is. Slide that hole up, put your nut on and tighten it up. And you have your two stabilizers. Same deal. I got a hole in them, and they are 9/16. And be careful, don't you? I almost impaled myself. I figure that's the way I'll die someday, is being impaled by a bale spike. It just seems like it would fit. But put them in and tighten them up and you're good to go. It's not a big deal to change from a pallet fork to a bale spike. It's not something you'd want to do every day. So if you use them a lot, you'll need both. But like I said, with me, where I just use the pallet forks in the summer and the spikes in the winter, this is a perfect tool, and I can keep them all inside when I'm not using them. I could show tightening these up and everything, and I'm not going to do that because you know how long that takes. But it doesn't take long to go from pallet forks to bale spike and back. Now, one other thing this does, I'll show you. I'm going to take these loose here. Is you've got a receiver hitch built right into the frame. And that's kind of nice. If you're ever wanting to move around a trailer or something, you put your receiver hitch in, put the pin through, put the socket in place, and you can move around trailers. Now, that's not going to work as well with a tractor as it would with a skid loader because you have trouble seeing it. But if you're moving around some trailers to mow and you've got a buddy to kind of direct you in, you can use a tractor to do it. But it's better with a skid loader because you got great visibility. But this device is called a Spork. It's made locally by a local company. This is all American made. The spike's German made. It's got high quality forks on it. It's got the right angle on the back. It's a very well built piece of equipment. And it kills really 3 birds with 1 stone. Receiver, hitch, bale spike, pallet forks. If you want it, it's available on my website right here. And it's expensive, but it's probably about the price that you'd pay for a cheap set of pallet forks and a cheap set of a cheap bale spike, and you have the receiver hitch as a bonus. So if you want it, it's on my website. Go to askatractormike.com. I appreciate you watching my videos. I'd be honored if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can do that by clicking the mic face icon, and make sure you check the bell so you get notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website with the Tractor Fun Store where all this stuff is available. It helps support my channel. Here's another couple of videos you might want to watch. Thanks for watching.